My parents tried to screw over my dying stepmother, but I told her everything, and now they've lost it all while I inherit her house and my siblings inherit the rest. Posted by you/whole pomegranate 5342. Throwaway for obvious reasons. My 17F stepmother, Jane, is a wonderful, wonderful woman. She and my father got married when I was 4, and she's been a rock in my life ever since. My mother was always my primary caregiver, but up until that point, her relationship with my father was acrimonious, and I basically never saw him. Jane was the reason they developed a stable co-parenting relationship. She encouraged everyone to have a good relationship with each other and was always there to support me and my mom when things got rough. Jane has always been a really hard worker. When she met my dad, he was living out of a hotel, and my mother was doing everything in her power to keep me away from him because she was petty and angry that their relationship didn't work out. Meanwhile, Jane had a great job, a nice house, helped my dad get back on his feet, negotiated a visitation schedule with my mom, who hated her for a long time, and made sure my dad sent us money every week since neither one of them could afford an attorney to negotiate child support payments. Jane had no reason to do any of these things, but as I got older, she made it clear that she loved me as much as she loved my half-brothers, who were born a few years later. I even have my own room in her house because, at the time, we lived with my grandparents or various boyfriends of my mom, and Jane felt that I needed a more stable environment than that. She's like the opposite of the evil stepmom. When I was 15, Jane won a big lawsuit against an airline company and was awarded upwards of $1 million. She used the money to build sizable trust funds for me and my brothers so that we would be taken care of later in life. Despite having a lot more money, she still wanted to live a fairly modest life, so she paid off the house she had and has been living there ever since with my dad. Sure, she bought a new car, and they went on a few nice vacations, but she didn't blow all her money on stupid things, which I respected. About a year ago, things started getting really weird. Whenever I saw Jane, she seemed to look sicker and sicker, but no one would tell me or my brothers why, even though I know they knew. All we knew was that she was at the hospital a lot. Around the same time, my mom started coming around my dad a lot more and acting really strange, basically like she was trying to romance him. Whenever Jane was in the hospital, my mother would insist on spending the night at their house and playing mom to my brothers, which was so weird to me because she never liked them or Jane. She'd act like the perfect little housewife, and my mom is not like that at all. It was super fake. Worst of all, my dad started falling for it. I'm not stupid, I'm pretty sure they were sleeping together. I tried to shield my brothers from it, but they're not dumb either. I tried talking to my dad, too, but he insisted it wasn't like that. Then, a few weeks ago, my mom started talking about all the places she'd like to visit, how she wanted a new car, and how she was looking to invest, which is weird because my mom has been a bartender her whole life and has lived paycheck to paycheck since before I was born. She was acting like she was about to come into a lot of money, which started to make me really suspicious. Between Jane being sick and my mom acting all nouveau riche, I had a lot of questions. Finally, I decided to visit Jane in the hospital and ask her about my trust fund. I found out that if anything happened to her, my dad would inherit all the money, including full control of the trusts for me and my brothers. She asked me why I was so interested in the trust fund, so I told her what's been going on with my parents and how my mom has been acting with my dad. I didn't want to, but after everything she did for me, she deserved the truth. It really hurt me to break her heart like that, especially once I found out that she was basically in hospice at this point because of irreversible kidney failure. She's only got a few more months. We both cried so much. Then, 2 days ago, everything came to a head. My mom stormed in furious and started arguing with my dad. Apparently, Jane met with her lawyer and changed the trust so that my dad would get nothing and all of the trusts would be controlled by my step-aunt. She demanded to know how Jane found out about their relationship, and I came out and told them that I told Jane everything. I told them that if they wanted to play stupid games, they would win stupid prizes and that I wasn't going to let them screw Jane over after all the help she gave my family when she didn't have to. My mom slapped me, and my dad just looked so defeated. Then my mom told my dad that she didn't really love him, that she was just pretending to so he would marry her and she could get all of the money. The worst part about it is that my brothers witnessed the whole thing and now, on top of their mom dying, they have to deal with a cheating dad and his vindictive ex. Our whole family is in ruins, and I feel like it's my fault even though I know it's not. Yesterday, I visited Jane again and told her about the fallout. She apologized and said that she had to dissolve my trust fund to make sure my mother didn't get a hold of the money, but that as her oldest, I will inherit the house/property after she's gone, and that's worth more than the other 2 trust funds combined. My father won't get anything because she's going to divorce him before she dies, and honestly, I'm happy for her. She made me promise to take care of my brothers and told me that once I turn 18 this summer, I can kick my dad out of the house if I want to. And I fully plan to do that, by the way. I haven't talked to my dad since, and I can't even look at my mom. I can't believe they would conspire to do this to Jane after all this time. Just proof that they deserve each other, and I'm embarrassed that they're my parents. Once I turn 18, I'm going to cut my dad out as much as I can and cut my mom out completely. I hope she rots. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and be at the hospital as much as I can until Jane passes away. Anyways, I just needed to vent. I'm really messed up about the whole thing, and I feel super betrayed, although I can't even begin to imagine how Jane feels. I'm gonna be so effed up when she dies. I can't even think about that right now. But at least she's not surrounded by people who just want to bring her down. Thanks for reading. Edit. Some people are asking a lot of the same questions, so I'll just clarify here. My brothers, my plan is to use some of the estate money to fight for guardianship of my twin brothers so they can live in the house while I kick my dad out. If I can't get guardianship, then I will have to let my dad stay in the house. However, once I turn 18, I will technically be an adult, so even if my dad leaves, I'll still be legally able to be responsible for them. The only thing I won't be able to do is stop him from taking them if he decides to leave. But they will be 18 in 6 years, so even if they have to leave, they'll always be able to come back whenever they want. In a perfect world, my dad would just leave and let my brothers stay with me, which I'm sure my bio mom would be very supportive of, because right now she hates all of us, and I doubt that will change anytime soon. The trust, from what I understand, my brothers will inherit 1/3 each of the estate, and the remaining 1/3 will be used to keep the house running until they turn 18. After that, it will be up to me if I want to keep the house or sell it. At that point, my brothers will still have money left in the trust, so they can branch out or do whatever they want. Otherwise, I will not sell the house, and I'll just pass it on to them or keep it and maintain it myself. They can stay with me for as long as they need to. Edit to the edit. So, I just spoke to Jane, and she told me that the reason she dissolved the trust is because originally it was going to be split 3 ways between us kids, and my dad would inherit the house. She dissolved my third and switched it over to take care of the house maintenance, and instead put the house in my name so my dad wouldn't get it. Plus, by doing that, at least financially, I'd be getting a much bigger share. The house is worth about 1.5 times the amount of my brother's trusts. I just wouldn't be able to do anything with it until my brothers turn 18, which I'm totally cool with. Sorry if I don't have a better answer, I'm just trying to translate what she told me. My parents, the big fight happened on Sunday, and I haven't spoken to either of my parents since. I think they're both at my mom's place right now, but that's fine with us because we're all still mad at them, so they can stay gone for all we care. I know technically it's not legal for them to just leave us alone, but I've been taking care of my brothers for over a year, so I can handle a few days while he gets his crap together. Screw both of them. Hope that clears some stuff up. Update 3 months later. Hi guys, it's me again. A lot of you asked for an update on my situation with Jane and my family, so I've come back to share a few things that have happened since my initial post. I'll try to organize this in a way that addresses the major points from last time. Jane is still alive and doing surprisingly well, considering the circumstances. She's always been a fighter, and although her disease has been progressing, she's keeping a positive attitude about everything that's going on. She says she's grateful to have seen everyone's true colors before she passes, so she can go into the next life knowing the truth. Over the past few months, we've become unbelievably close, and it's getting harder and harder to know she's nearing the end. She doesn't talk about it much. I know it's because she doesn't want to hurt me, but we're both aware of the situation, so we're just making the best of our time together. I'm also not being completely transparent with her about all the drama at home, but honestly, I don't think she needs to hear all of that. We did end up having the surprise celebration of life I had planned. A lot more people showed up than I expected, but they all got an Airbnb near the hospital where Jane is staying. We were able to take her out and spend some time at the lake near the facility. It was super low-key, which I know Jane preferred, and I even managed to get her old college friend to come after finding him on LinkedIn, lol. We had food, there was music, and we played games. Overall, it was a really great time, except Jane started crying at the end, but she promised it was just because she was grateful. My brothers are doing okay. My aunt, Jane's sister, is currently paying for them to go to therapy, and they've become a lot more open about discussing the situation. They just turned 13, but a lot of the time, it feels like I'm talking to actual adults, lol. They become really independent lately, in a good way, and aside from driving them places, I don't really have to do much for them anymore. Their grades aren't amazing, but they're not failing, and considering the circumstances, it could be a lot worse. They still hang out with friends, and I'm keeping an eye out for signs of depression or anything like that. The situation with my mom is as funny as it is embarrassing, to be honest. She spent a few weeks ignoring us, and then she tried to crawl back into my life, basically begging me to let her move in because her lease is about to expire and she has nowhere to go. That conversation went about as well as you'd think, and she ended up calling me an ungrateful BTCH, saying I couldn't just ignore her because she's my mom. I told her to get out of the house before I called the cops and to go back to my dad, who, at that point, was only coming home every few days to check on us and grab some clothes. After that, she tried coming by a few times, and when I wouldn't open the door, she'd lose her mind and start yelling in the neighborhood. After 3 instances of this, I finally called the cops. However, because I'm 17, they said there was a possibility I have to go home with her since technically I'm a minor and need to be with a custodial parent. I told them there was no way that was happening because I was the only one watching my brothers at the time. That led to a whole thing where, after a few hours, my dad showed up, and I was allowed to stay at Jane's house because there was finally an adult present, and I'd basically been living there for over a year. After that, the cops firmly told my mom that if she kept showing up and causing drama, my neighbors confirmed she'd been there a few times, screaming, they'd arrest her for trespassing since technically it's Jane's house, not hers. She left and hasn't tried coming to the house again, but for a while, she would call me constantly, telling me I owed her and saying all kinds of stuff. She's now blocked on everything, and anything she needs to say to me goes through my dad. As for my dad, well, since he's basically required to stay here for another 2 months until I turn 18, we've just been avoiding each other. It's not too bad, though, because I've been heavily relying on guilt-tripping him to get my way. For example, he was going to contest the divorce, but I threatened to kick him out when I turned 18 if he did, so he signed all the paperwork for a quick divorce and is now doing whatever Jane tells him to do. I don't openly disrespect him, he's still my dad, but I've made it clear I have no intention of ever doing what he says again, and he doesn't fight me on it. Most of the time, he stays in his room, and occasionally, he goes back to my mom's house, but only for a day or two before they argue and she kicks him out again, lol. I haven't decided yet whether I'll kick him out when I turn 18, and we haven't talked about it either, so I'm just playing it by ear. As for me, I'm handling everything as well as I can. I found a new job where I make a little more money, so I've been focusing on saving as much as possible and being there for my brothers. Between working, school, and visiting Jane, I've been so busy I haven't had time to stop and process everything, but I know that time will come. One of my friends has really stepped up and helped me manage everything. I'm super grateful to him for being there for me and my brothers, so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I wish I had something more exciting to share, but that's what's happened since my last post. Thanks again for all the support on my last post. Second update 7 months later. Hello everyone, it's me again. I've received quite a few messages over the past months asking for an update, so I'm going to post my final update here and hope it answers the questions everyone has been asking. I'm sorry it took so long to update, but a lot has been going on. As many of you may already assume, Jane passed away early in the fall of this year. It was very traumatic and sudden, but the silver lining is that she exceeded every doctor's expectations for her life. When she did go, she was surrounded by family, including me, my brothers, and my dad. She was on palliative care and felt no pain, except for a brief moment right at the end, and we are all very grateful for that. Towards the end, Jane was physically pretty much done, but her mind was as sharp as ever. I took the advice of many of you here and recorded some voice notes for my brothers. I originally wanted to do video, but by the time we were able to do it, we both decided they didn't need to remember her wrapped in tubes and in a hospital gown. She also wrote many letters for her friends, family, and even for me to open when I reached certain milestones. She gave me one to open right after she passed away, and while I won't share too many details, I can say with absolute certainty that she is and forever will be who I consider my mother without question. It was very, very emotional for everyone, and although it has been a few months, I'm still heartbroken about her no longer being with us. She was a kind, gentle woman, and in my heart, she is who I aspire to be. My brothers are obviously very hurt about our mom's passing, but just like before, they are taking it surprisingly well. They are still going to therapy, both together and separately, and we have a lot of conversations whenever they feel like talking. We've always been close, but I feel like we're closer now. Even though I work, we hang out as often as we can, and I'm doing everything I can to be the support they need. They don't know it, but I definitely need them as much as they need me because they're the only ones I can really talk to about anything. Ironically, now that our family glue is gone, we're pulling together stronger than before. My dad and I have mended fences, so to speak. We went to a few therapy sessions together where he took full responsibility for his behavior, and I've forgiven him as much as I can, especially since he eventually started doing everything he could to be there for Jane at the end, even though they still went through with the divorce. He's still living with us, and things are a little tense, but they're much better than before. He's my dad, and I love him, but he was also broken by Jane's condition, and he wasn't able to cope in a healthy manner. Her passing really brought some light into his eyes, so to speak, and now he's really stepping up to be the man he was supposed to be. A lot of people commented saying, too little too late, but again, he's my dad, and for my own mental health, I have chosen to forgive him. As far as I know, my biological mom pretty much vanished off the face of the earth when I turned 18. She tried a few times to convince me to let her live with us, but I wasn't having any of it. Even my dad told her he's officially done, and after we all blocked her on everything, she stopped reaching out. She doesn't have any relatives who talk to her, so I don't have to worry about that, but I did hear from people who follow her on Facebook that she has a new boyfriend she's living with. I don't want to stalk her or anything, I really don't care. She hasn't come to me with any kind of apology, so to be honest, she can get bent. It's a little hard for me to accept that she'd just walk away the second I turned legal, just because she didn't get any of Jane's money, but oh well, true colors and all that. I guess 18 years was too long to pretend to care. I'm just so angry with her, and I don't want anything to do with her anymore. Maybe that will change one day, but I'm not holding my breath. As for me, I'm doing pretty well. I decided to take a year before starting college to handle all of this, and I'm still at the same job, so I'm saving up money wherever I can. My friends have all been great supporters, and I'm so grateful for everyone, especially you Reddit folks, who have been checking in on me and making sure I'm okay. I'm taking things one day at a time, and that's been working great to keep me focused. My goal is to go to college next year and study journalism, but I'm playing it by ear. I can always go back to school, but right now my family needs me, and if that takes longer than a year, then so be it. Thank you, everyone. This will be my last update, and I very much appreciate all the love and support you've shown our family. Jane, I know, was very grateful for all of you too. All I can say is, hold your loved ones tight and be careful of anyone who seems too good to be true. Much love and blessings to you all.